Good day, everyone. Today we're gonna talk about introduction to training and development. But before we start, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Robinel Piasagra from the group Chapter 1. Together with my group mate, Conarco Inserto de los Santos Pineda. Next slide. So the table of content of our topic is concept of education, training, and development. Second is strategic important of training and development. Third is legislation impact on training. And fourth is human resource development policies and rules. And lastly, South African context and macro factors. Next slide. So, what is training and development? So, when we say training and development, it is a program typically involve educational activities that advance a worker's knowledge and instill greater motivation to enhance job performance. So when we say training and development is it is initial initiatives to help employment or employees learn and acquire new skill sets and gain to professional knowledge that is required to progress their career. So, what is the difference between training and development? So, training is focuses on enhancing an employee's knowledge, skills, and abilities for their current job, aiming for immediate performance improvements, while development is a broad, broader long-term process that prepares employees for future roles, career growth, and organization objectives. So both are systematic, no? So it is a planned effort grounded in a training needs analysis that result in improved employee capabilities, productivity, and the overall success of the organization. Next slide. So let's move on to the concept of education, training, and development. So education is focuses on increasing the knowledge and understanding of the employee. So it is the process by means of which knowledge, learning, understanding, physical capacity, and mental outlook of the employees are improved in order to bring about their better adjustment to the working environment is known as education. So it also develops a logical and rational mind which help in the determination of relationship between significant variables. So additionally, quality of mind and the ability to understand basic principles are achieved with the help of education. So secondly is we have training. So training focuses on developing the skills which are already possessed by an employee. So training it is a process of increasing the knowledge, skills, and abilities of employees for doing work is known as training. So it also a process by which attitude, skills, and capabilities to do a particular job are increased. It is a process of learning new skills and apply knowledge. So it is also main aim is to improve the performance of the current job and to prepare them for any future job. So lastly, training is to enhance a employee productivity and reduce accidents and wastage of resources. It also helps to increase the uh, moral and satisfaction of the employees. So lastly, we have development. So development is focuses on developing hidden qualities and talents of employees, and education focuses on increasing the knowledge and understanding of the employees. So development daw it is refers to the overall growth of the employees. So these are learning opportunity that uh, designed for employees to grow. So This include not only those activities which help to improve employees' performance but also to help employees' growth. So, next slide. So, next topic, which is strategic importance of training and development, will be continue with Conarco. Thank you.
Hello, good day everyone. I am Ina Conarco and I am here to discuss the strategic importance of training and development. So, what is the strategic importance of training and development? Training and development or T&D is important because it aligns employees' skills and capabilities with the goals of the company. When employees are given proper training and development, they become more prepared and effective in their roles. As a result, the company gains a competitive advantage over others by improving its performance, productivity, and encouraging innovation. Like, for example, companies like Google regularly provide training and development programs to their employees. These programs help employees improve their skills, stay updated with new technologies, and think creatively. Because of this, Google remains a leader in innovation and stays competitive in the technology industry. In short, training and development is not only for the personal growth of employees but also for the long term success and growth of the entire organization. Next slide, please. The core concept of strategic training and development number one is the alignment with organizational strategy, which is the training program should directly support the company's mission, vision, and goals. Example, a retail company aiming to improve customer service offers specialized customer engagement training to all frontline staff. Number two is we have competitive advantage. Well trained employees can perform better, innovate more, and adapt faster than competitors. And we have continuous improvement. Training is not a one time event but a continuous process to keep up with changes. Like, for example, hospitals regularly update staff training on new medical resources and equipment to maintain quality care. Number four, we have employee growth and retention, which has strategic training builds career paths, motivate employees, and reduces turnover. Number five, we have efficiency and effectiveness, which resources are maximized when training matches actual organizational needs. And number six, we have a use of modern training methods. Using e-learning platforms and LMS or learning management system makes training accessible and consistent. For example, a multinational corporation uses an LMS to deliver standardized training modules across all branches worldwide. And the last one is we have evidence-based approach, which is applying theories and models ensures training and design and delivered professionally for better result. Like, for example, an HR department uses Kirkpatrick's training evaluation model to ensure the effectiveness of its new training program. This time, I will discuss the training and development frameworks. This framework makes sure that all training programs directly support the organizational growth. Next slide, please. First, it ensures alignment with organizational goals, meaning the training we do really contributes to the company's success. It also focuses on continuous learning and improvement so employees are always ready for future challenges. And the training improves productivity, and innovation. It also supports the employees' growth and retention by reducing turnover and building loyalty. At the same time, it promotes efficient resource use, which means we get the most return on investment from our training budget. And finally, it highlights modern training delivery through learning management system and e-learning, and uses evidence-based design guided by theories and evaluation models. In strategic management process, this framework is supported by the strategic management process, which has four steps. Number one is the environmental scanning, which studying the internal and the external factors. Number two, we have strategy formulation, which is creating the training strategy. Number three, we have strategy implementation, which is carrying out the training. And last is strategy evaluation. This measure if our objectives were met. So by the step-by-step process, it can also help us ensure that programs are effective and aligned with company goals. Next slide, please. So now let's move to the advanced concept of strategic training and development. This includes treating training as a strategic investment, building a learning culture and organizational agility, using data-driven and analytics-based training, promoting personalized and adaptive learning, integrating with talent management and succession planning. It also for preparing for globalization and cross-cultural training, innovating training delivery methods, forming strategic partnerships with external providers, and supporting sustainability and social responsibility training. This concept makes the training programs more modern, data-based, and impactful. Next slide po. Let's move to the models of strategic training and development. There are also different models used in strategic training and development. Number one is the ADDIE model, which stands for Analysis, Design, Development, Implementation, and Evaluation. This helps in systematic planning and evaluation. Number two, we have Kirkpatrick's four-level evaluation model, which connects training effectiveness to business return on investment, or the ROI. Number three, we have the strategic training and development process model, which directly aligns training with company goals. Number four, we have the learning organization model, which build a culture of continuous learning. And the last one is a high impact learning organization model, which integrates technology with talent management. These models guide organizations in designing and evaluating effective training programs. To sum up the strategic training and development, this ensures that employees are not only skilled but also aligned with the company's goals, using modern methods and models to achieve maximum impact. That's all. Thank you for listening, and we can go to the next topic.
So good day everyone. I'm James Dean V. Inserto. I'm going topics legislation impact on training. Legislation fundamentality reshapes the landscape of training and development, transforming it from a discretionary business expense into a mandatory, compliance-driven framework. This is due a wide range of laws that dictate what training an organization must provide to its employees. These laws serve not only to protect employees and the public against, but also to provide a crucial legal defense for companies' lawsuits. The mandate for compliance-based training. The primary impact of legislation on training is the shift towards compliance-based training. This is the type of training that is required by law. For example, the Occupationally Safety and Health Administration or OSHA mandates that employers provide training to prevent physical harm and create a safer workplace. This training is not non-negotiable, and failure to comply can lead to severe fines and legal penalties. Similarly, anti-harassment and anti-discrimination laws like the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act require organizations to provide training to foster a fair and equitable environment. This training not only educates employees on appropriate workplace conduct but also serves as a crucial legal defense for the company. If a harassment or discrimination lawsuit is filed, by providing a documenting this training, an organization can demonstrate that it took reasonable steps to prevent and correct the alleged misconduct. So, legislation makes training a legal requirement, shifting it from voluntary expense to compliance-based mandate. This is essential for both employee and protection and company defense. For OSHA, requires safe. For OSHA, example, laws from organizations like OSHA require safety training to prevent harm, while anti-harassment laws mandate training that serves a crucial legal defense for company against lawsuits. Law shaping workforce skills and standards. Beyond compliance, legislation also influences training by establishing national standards and ensuring equal access to skill development. In the Philippines, for example, the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority or TESDA plays a key role in setting national standards for workforce readiness. This ensures that the skills taught in vocational and technical training programs align with the needs of the industry, making the workforce more competitive. Furthermore, anti-discrimination laws extend to training itself, ensuring that all employees have equal access to skill development opportunities, regardless of their background. This prevents discriminatory practices in professional growth and career advancement. So that's all. Thank you. Next reporter, please.
Hello everyone, I'm Roshan De Los Santos and welcome to today's video. In this session, I'll be talking about human resource policies and rules, why they matter, what they cover, and how they shape both employees and organizations. HR is more than just paperwork and procedures. It's about creating a structure where employees can thrive and where businesses can achieve their goals effectively. Let's begin by understanding what HR policies really are. So, what are HR policies? HR policies are not simply written rules. They are structured guidelines that set expectations for employee behavior, outline company obligations, and ensure fairness and consistency across the workplace. Think of HR policies as a framework. They help employees know what's expected of them, and they help organizations maintain fairness and professionalism. For example, a clear attendance policy prevents confusion about work hours, and while a non discrimination policy protects employees from unfair treatment. In addition, HR policies also serve as a reference point during conflicts or misunderstandings. For instance, when disputes arise over salary, benefits, or leave entitlements, policies act as a neutral guide that both employees and employers can rely on. This not only promotes transparency but also minimizes miscommunication and builds trust between management and staff. Now, let's move on to the functions of HR policies. I've learned that HR policies do much more than just set the rules. They serve important functions that directly affect both employees and employers. Let me share some of the most important ones and their examples. So, career growth opportunities. Policies explain how employees can advance within the organization, whether through promotions, training, or internal hiring. This motivates employees to grow and improve their performance. Example is at the Ayala Corporation, employees are guided by structured career frameworks. Through internal hiring and leadership development programs, employees have clear pathways to grow from entry level positions to management roles. This creates motivation and loyalty because workers know that their effort can lead to advancement. Next, healthy work environment. They promote respect, inclusivity, and fairness, ensuring that everyone feels safe and valued in the workplace. Example is the Nestle Philippines promotes a healthy work environment through wellness programs, mental health supports, and family-friendly policies. By offering flexible work arrangements and wellness days, they help reduce burnout and encourage employees to maintain a balanced lifestyle. Legal compliance. HR policies align with labor laws, ensuring the organization avoids legal problems while also protecting employees' rights. Example is the Philippine Airlines or commonly known as PAL ensures compliance with labor codes and aviation regulations by standardizing policies on working hours, overtime, and flight safety requirements. This not only protect employees but also safeguard passenger trust and the company's reputation. Next, fairness and consistency. Policies make sure that everyone is treated equally. For instance, rules on leave or disciplinary action are applied fairly to all employees. Bank of the Philippine Islands or BPI applies uniform HR policies across its nationwide branches. Performance evaluation system and leave application are standardized to prevent favoritism and ensure equal treatment among staff. Support for organizational programs. From orientation to onboarding to training, policies provide structure so employees know what to expect at each stage of their career. For example, Cebu Pacific Air provides structured onboarding for flight crew and ground staff, ensuring new hires adapt quickly to safety protocols, customer service standards, and company culture. This results in smoother operation and stronger customer trust. Lastly, clear communication of mission and values. HR policies don't just regulate behavior, they also reinforce the company's identity and long term goals. Example is GMA Network integrates its mission of Serbisyo Totoo into its HR policies, encouraging employees to uphold integrity, creativity, and service to the Filipino people. By embedding values into HR systems, the company ensures that its employees live the brand every day. Next slide, please. Now, let's look at some of the most important HR policies that every organization should have and their examples. These are not just rules but guidelines that affect daily life at work. So, number one, employee punctuality and attendance policy. This policy sets clear expectation about reporting on time and being prepared for work. It explains procedures for calling in sick or arriving late, and it also outlines the consequences of repeated absence. Next, healthy and safety policy. Beyond meeting legal requirements, this policy ensures that employees work in a safe environment. It includes emergency procedures, reporting steps for accidents, and rules that prevent workplace hazards. Next, pay and timekeeping policy. Accurate timekeeping is essential for fair compensation. This policy explains how employees should record their hours, how overtime is handled, and what happens if payday falls on a holiday. Next, Meal and break policy. Employees have the right to take breaks, whether for meals, rest, or other needs like lactation. This policy specifies the duration and frequency of breaks, making sure employees stay healthy and productive. Next, leave and time off work policy. Employees may need time off for their different reasons, such as sick leave, vacation, bereavement leave, parental leave, or even voting. This policy clarifies how much time is allowed, when it can be taken, and how to request it. Next, please. Non-discrimination and anti-harassment policy. This is one of the most important policies. It ensures that employees are protected from harassment and discrimination of any kind. It creates a safe and respectful workplace where everyone feels included. And lastly, next please. Social media policy. In today's digital world, what employees post online can affect the company's image. This policy guides employees on what is appropriate to share, protecting both personal expression and the company's reputation. Next po. The development of HR roles within the business. So, it's also important to recognize that HR has changed dramatically over time. In the early 90s, HR was mainly seen as cost control department. The focus was on managing employees efficiently and cheaply. But over the decades, organizations realized that HR decisions directly influence performance and success. Today, HR is a strategic partner. It doesn't just manage employees, it helps shape the organization's growth, culture, and future direction. HR has become an essential driver of innovation, engagement, and long-term sustainability. Next po. Key HR roles in an organization. The HR department now fulfills several key roles that make a big difference in how companies operate. Let's break them down. So, number one, next please. Selecting candidates. This includes reviewing applications, conducting interviews, and performing assessments like skills tests and background checks. For example, Globe Telecom uses a combination of online testing platforms and structured interviews to ensure they hire employees whose values align with the company's culture. Next, hiring from within and from outside. HR promotes internal growth by filling roles with existing employees whenever possible, while also seeking external talent when necessary. So, Metrobank often promotes outstanding tellers and customer service associates into managerial positions while also recruiting external professionals for specialized financial roles. Next, performance appraisals. HR designs structured evaluation that give employees feedback, recognize achievements, and identify areas for improvement. So, for example, Petron Corporation implements annual performance appraisals tied to career development plans, ensuring employees understand how their performance links to growth opportunities. Next, compensation. HR ensures fair pay through structured salary systems, overtime rules, and additional benefits. A fair compensation policy motivates employees and reduces turnover. Meralco provides competitive salary packages combined with benefits like housing loans and scholarship for employees' dependents, making their compensation package more holistic. Next, employee benefit management. Beyond salary, benefits like parental leave, flexible work arrangements, and health insurance play a key role in employee satisfaction and retention. For example, Philippine Long Distance Telephone Company, or also known as PLDT, supports employees with healthcare plans, retirement benefits, and flexible working conditions, which improves loyalty and job satisfaction. Next, learning and development. HR provides training, workshops, and mentoring opportunities to help employees develop their skills and prepare for future roles. For example, BDO Foundation, the social responsibility arm of BDO, trains employees not only in professional skills but also in financial literacy and community service, showing HR's role in holistic development. Next, promotions. HR sets rules for internal promotions, ensuring deserving employees' growth within the company while also preparing future leaders. For example, Robinson's Land Corporation identifies high potential employees and promotes them into leadership positions through structured succession planning. 9. Next, please. Problem solving groups, also called quality circles. These groups empower employees to contribute ideas that improve productivity and quality. HR helps from and guide these teams. For example, Coca-Cola Beverages Philippines encourages employees to form teams that identify inefficiencies in production, resulting in innovative solutions that improve operation. And lastly, next, Total Quality Management or TQM. HR contributes to continuous improvement across the company by helping design process, remove bottlenecks, and foster a culture of excellence. Example is Jollibee Foods Corporation integrates TQM principles into its HR programs by constantly improving training for store employees, ensuring quality service and consistency across all branches. So, to sum it up all, HR policies are more than rules. They protect employees, provide structure, and support organizational success. And the roles of HR go far beyond hiring and payroll. They cover everything from employee growth to workplace safety, from fair compensation to long-term strategic planning. So now, let's move on to another topic, which is South African context and macro factors.
Hello everyone, I am Angel Antineda and I will be discussing training and development in the South African context. So, South Africa faces the ongoing challenge of rebuilding and strengthening its economy. To achieve this, companies need to raise their standards of performance and productivity. One of the most effective ways to do this is through training and development, which helps employees improve their skills and become more efficient. The country's economy is weakened by three major issues, which is unemployment, poverty, and inequality, as well as by the presence of many unskilled people. These issues cause low productivity, meaning that South Africa relies heavily on imported goods rather than producing and exporting its own. By investing in training and development, the country can create a stronger, more capable workforce that will boost productivity, provide more job opportunities, and help reduce poverty and inequality. Next slide. So there are several broad external factors that shape how training and development take place in South Africa. So first of all, the country's population continues to grow, which is around 49 million in 2008 and 57 million in 2018, which means that more resources are needed to ensure that people are properly trained for the job market. Second, weak basic education lowers the quality of skills that people bring to the workplace, forcing companies to spend more time and money on training employees to meet required standards. Third, we have the high unemployment highlights the importance of upskilling job seekers so they can become employable. Health concerns, especially the high rate of HIV or AIDS, also affect the availability of skilled workers, making continuous training essential to replace lost skills. Finally, societal changes such as more women entering the workforce and advancing in their careers require training programs to be diverse, flexible, and inclusive, ensuring that opportunities are available for all members of society. Other key factors include mismatches between labor supply and demand as well as the need to keep up with rapid technology changes. Next slide. So challenges facing training and development. South Africa's training and development system faces several difficulties. One major problem is that the education system is weak from the foundation level, leaving many students without the basic skills needed to succeed later in life. Another issue is poor planning for future skills needed, meaning the country is often unprepared for changes in the economy and workplace. High unemployment makes matters worse as the demand for jobs is far greater than the supply, and many unemployed individuals do not have the right training or qualifications. Additionally, South Africa struggles to keep up with the global technological advancements, which makes its workforce less competitive internationally. Training programs themselves are often not effective because they are not based on proper needs analysis. In other words, the training offered does not always match the actual skills required by business and industries, leaving gaps in workforce readiness. Next slide. So here we have the proposed solutions to training and development challenges. So to overcome these challenges, South Africa needs a more coordinated and strategic approach. Collaboration among all key players, the government, private companies, and education and training providers is essential to identify skills shortage and find effective ways to close these gaps. The education system should be also be better aligned, starting from basic schooling through the higher education so that students are prepared for the workforce at every stage. Competencies should be developed on multiple levels. Nationally, to build a stronger economy. Second, organizationally, to improve company performance. Third, occu- occupationally, to, e- to equip people for specific jobs. And last, individually, to enhance personal growth and employability. More opportunities such as internships and apprenticeships should be made available particularly for young people so they can gain practical experience. To encourage companies to participate, the government should provide meaningful incentives for those that invest in training, coaching, and mentoring. By applying these solutions, South Africa can build a skilled workforce that will strengthen its economy and address unemployment, poverty, and inequality. So an example for this would be um, a big retail company in South Africa partners with the government and local universities to identify the skills most needed in the retail industry, such as digital sales and stock management. The company then creates an internship program for unemployed youth, giving them hands-on training in stores while also offering short courses in customer service and technology. At the same time, the government provides tax incentives to the company for offering these training opportunities. This way, so the youth gain real work experience, the company develops skilled workers, and the country benefits from a more employable workforce. So that is all for training and development in the South African context.
So yeah, that's all. We hope that you'll learn something about our topic that we discussed today. So let's proceed to the assessment. So number one is, which of the following focuses on increasing knowledge and understanding of the employee? A, training. B, development. C, education. So what do you think, guys? Yeah, so the correct answer is education, letter C. So next, assessment. So second is, which of the following focuses on developing the skills that are already posed by employee? A, training. B, development. C, education. Yeah. So the correct answer is training. So next, third is, modern training delivery methods such as learning management system or LMS and a learning are example of A, evidence-based design, B, modern training methods. What do you think? Yan. The answer is modern training methods. Letter B. So the next is, which model focuses on connecting training effectiveness to business return on investment? ROI. Letter A, ADDIE model. B, Kirkpatrick four-level evaluation model. What do you think? So, the correct answer is yan, letter B, Kirkpatrick four-level evaluation model. So, next, what is the primary impact of legislation on training and development, and what is its main purpose for a company? So letter A, it makes training mandatory compliance based framework that serves as a legal defense for the company. Letter B, it mainly focuses on setting national standard for workforce readiness and ensuring equal access to skills development. So yan, the answer is yan, letter A. It makes training a mandatory compliance-based framework that serves as a legal defense for the company. And the next question is, which of the following is the key benefit for a company providing compliance-based training? So letter A, it serves a crucial legal defense against lawsuits. B, it significantly reduces a company operational cost. So what do you think, guys? What is the a correct answer for this question? So the correct answer is yan, letter A. It serves as a crucial legal defense against lawsuits. So the next question will be, when did the HR positions started to change as business started to adjust to changing working condition and outside influence? When kaya? So letter A, 1990s, and letter B, 1989. So what do you think? When did the HR position started? So the correct answer is yan, A, 1990s. So next question. So the next question is, Baker and Gerhant said that HR was considered a possible source of A. Strategic improvements or B. Efficiency improvements? What do you think? Strategic or efficiency? So, yeah, the correct answer is efficiency, of course. Efficiency improvements. So, next question. Next question is, believe as a key solution for rebuilding the economy with the goal to create a skilled, competitive workforce to support growth. A. Training. B. Development. C. Training and development. So what do you think? The correct answer is yan, training and development. So next question. Lastly, one of the labor market challenges facing South Africa's training and development landscape. So A. Unemployed are inadequately trained. B. Inadequate planning for future skills requirements. So what do you think, guys? The correct answer is yan, letter A. So yan, lastly, here are the reference that we use, no, for our PPT or reporting. So yeah, that's all. Thank you, guys.